Hi, I'm Brett. Today we're going to talk about the new Subaru range of FA20 DIT, that's the direct injection technology engines, and what you need to look for if you're improving your car or modifying it, or in fact you're looking to modify the internal parts of the engine. And what I've got beside me here is one of our engine rebuilds that we've done on this particular car. Unfortunately, the engine suffered a mild failure internally. The owner was very lucky in the fact that it didn't have catastrophic failure and punch a rod out through the block, which means you've got to replace the whole assembly, which behind me is the block here, but we'll talk about that in a minute. This particular car has actually got failed pistons and failed conrods. Now, one of the things as these engines start to age a little bit, the aftermarket industry, and in fact Subaru dealers around the world, start to work out what are the strengths and weaknesses of these engines. Now, let's talk about the EJ series, 2 litre and 2.5s. We all know that if you've got a EJ series 2.5, whether it's a WRX or an STI or a Forester XT or Subaru Liberty Legacy, as you push those engines harder, and particularly the STIs, which are at the upper reaches of the engine's reliability zone, you can crack pistons, and if you put too much boost through them, you can in fact some situations bend conrods as well. But the main fuse, if we call it that, as for the weakness in the EJ20 engines, or EJ 2.5 litre engines, is the failure of cracked skirts around the ringlands on the factory hyper-eutectic pistons, and the typical solution for that is to replace them with aftermarket fully forged pistons and a set of rods, and then whatever you want to do after that. Well, the aftermarket is starting to learn what is the strength and weakness on these engines as well, and it's our opinion, based on some experience with what we know through other workshops in Australia with our relationship from a subcontract tuning point of view, is it's the durability of the conrods. Because as you know, and I'll hold this one up here, the factory original conrod has got an offset assembly where it bolts around the crankshaft because it makes it easier to assemble and dismantle. It's very similar to the BRZ engine, which we showed you in earlier videos. And what happens is the actual load of the rod is not exerted axially down the straight center of the conrod itself with the same load on either side, which means you can have problems here and here where the cap bolts together at the bottom of the rod. But in this particular situation, I want to talk about is the strength of the rod here. Now, manufacturers reduce the mass of conrods and the internal reciprocating parts of the engine to obviously make them respond better to throttle response, but most importantly is to improve fuel economy. And of course that's why they go to special coatings on the pistons to reduce the friction. They go to a very small skirt, because all this part here generates friction when the piston is running up and down, and of course that has an effect on fuel economy as well. Now, in the case of this particular engine, what I'm going to show you is, if you look carefully down from the top, and it's more obvious in this one, you can see they're not exactly the same, when in actual fact what it is they're bent. And what we believe has happened is through excessive amount of boost, the engine has bent the conrod to such a degree that it's gone too far and then touched the side of the piston skirt, and this part here has broken out the side of the skirt. Now, in all reality, that is a massive amount of angularity when the rod goes up and down inside the bore of the engine, but there is actually a witness mark on the side of the conrod here where you can see that the side of the skirt is touched. And from a mechanical point of view, we've got no idea how it could happen, because I could never imagine it would go that far. So maybe the conrod has gone elastic in part of its rotational use, and it's just bent back into that position finally when the engine has stopped. But we do know for a fact that the main reason for the failure of this engine is bent conrods, and then that has resulted in damage to the piston. And the first thing that the consumer knew about is had a very mild tapping noise inside the engine. From our point of view, we diagnosed it was down on power, and of course if you did a compression and a leak down test, the compression would be variable across all 4 cylinders in a dramatic way, because not all of them were bent, but 2 of them were. So you may ask the question, well, what caused the fact that the rod bent? Now, these engines run very high static compression compared to the original EJ series. They also run a hell of a lot more boost. In fact, peak boost on the FA20 engine in the WRX is around 21 psi boost. Now, one thing that I want to harp on here is all of the R&D that we've done here at MRT is all of our modifications and tuning. We don't change peak boost. In fact, for this particular reason, we are very, very conservative with our maps because of the fact that we give our factory warranty guarantee with the new cars, and at the same time, we don't want this to happen to any of the engines that we're involved in from a tuning point of view, or any of our subcontract workshops around Australia who use our tuning data. So if you're looking at improving the performance of your WRX, make sure that you understand that if you are running more boost than factory standard, or you're running more than 21 PSI boost, you need to be conscious of the fact that there is a growing element of knowledge that this may become, in a couple of years' time, more prevalent as we have more experience with potential engine failures. I don't want to be doom and gloom person. Every engine has its strength and every engine has its weakness, and I think from here on moving forward that we'll all soon start to look back at this time in a few years' time and realise that the FA20 series of engines is known for its weakness, if you're modifying them, of course, with rods that need to be considered as a replacement. So from a summary point of view, if you're looking to improve your WRX, don't be scared. There is a lot of reliable packages out there. That's why we give our factory warranty guarantee and our lifetime warranty guarantee with a lot of our modifications, our performance, because our R&D has allowed us to be comfortable in giving this type of improvement. And at the same time, you just need to consider who you're choosing and what type of modifications you're choosing. Now, there are people out there who are doing big boost upgrades and taking a risk, and that's fine. But the boost control system on this engine with the twin scroll turbo and the way it responds is a very, very good package to start with. And it's not until you start doing engine modifications, is our opinion, that you really should start seriously considering aftermarket exhaust manifolds and really big turbos and running massive boosts. Unless, of course, you're willing to take the risk on engine failure, and this is what you can come to expect that may ultimately be the result. So there you have it. A little bit of knowledge about what you can see and what you can get as far as performance improvements on your Subaru FA20 DIT engine, whether it's WRX, Forester, Japanese spec, Liberty. For more info, you can follow us on Facebook, YouTube and Twitter. Put a keyword in our new website and do a search, and you'll find some really fantastic help. Obviously, have a look at the bottom of this video and we'll post a whole heap of pictures to help you learn a little bit more about it. But for now, I'm Brett Middleton. Thanks for watching.